What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Luxury Health Podcast. We got a special guest in the building. My brother Andre, the finance guru. What's going on, man?
What's going on, man? Everything's going good. I'm just happy to be here on the podcast. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. So, quick story. I know about Andre through the National Urban League, Greater Atlanta for Young Professionals. And then, of course, Instagram, social media. This guy has over 20,000 followers on social media. He's pretty big in the finance industry. And he has a wealth of knowledge from what I hear. I haven't sat down and had a conversation directly on the podcast platform about finance with him. So I'm learning just like you guys about what he knows, what he can share with us. But word on the street, this guy knows his stuff. All right. So I'm so glad I got a chance to finally connect with him, get together, sit down face to face so we can do this podcast and put out in the world what he knows about finance, because we all know financial literacy is so important from a young age, and we don't talk about it enough. And we don't talk about how it can affect our health, right? So if our finances are in order, then it can really have an indirect or direct impact on our health. All right, so we're going to get started. I'm just going to sit down. We're going to talk to Andre, and I just want you to share your story about how you got involved with financial literacy, like who started you into this type of work, into this type of knowledge, and just share how you got involved.
So, first off, man, that was a hell of an introduction. I appreciate that. Like, I'm going to have you at my next event introduce me from now on. But yeah, so like for myself, I kind of got introduced into this whole financial thing. I was in Dallas, Texas, and I'm always still trying to get my timeline down straight. But it must have been like around 2014, maybe 2015 in Dallas. And anything you guys know about Dallas, man, it is just so hot, and there are no Publixes over there. No Publix at all. So, my southern self didn't last too long in Dallas. But for the time while I was there, I've been in insurance. I'm still in insurance. But, I was just kind of getting bored over there. So I said, okay, let me try to do something else. And I think I've always been kind of good for my own money. So I decided to do finance because at the time I had a friend. She was studying for her certified financial planner, or a CFP for short. So I talked to her, and, it just kind of enlightened me just in the sense that people are willing to pay you to tell them what to do with their money. Had no idea because, insurance doesn't pay that much. So I wasn't exactly, dealing with those type of crowds or people hiring other financial advisors. So then I kind of moved towards the CFP thing. I started studying for it, and I decided to get this bright idea of blogging for it and put it on my own Instagram page. And it went from my personal Instagram to the business Instagram, which was way better because my own personal lifestyle was pretty much boring, if you can say. So, I'm posting all this financial stuff for things that I'm learning, that everyone else is learning from me. That thing just really took off. And then I learned about financial coaching, and I still was studying for my CFP. I got into a financial firm where we would help a bunch of retirees. And, these like six-figure people, and they were still kind of broke in a sense. Like, they own a big home, nice cars, but still broke. So that's when I kind of found my passion was really not necessarily helping people maintain their wealth, but helping people build up their wealth. So moving on forward, I think it was like around maybe April in 2017 when I found out my job at that financial firm was getting phased out, which was fine. Because honestly, I kind of sucked at that job. I can say that now. It's just like a whole bunch of paperwork and stuff, opening accounts for like IRAs, Roth IRAs. So I was okay, I don't think this is for me. So I ended up getting another job with, the same type of financial firm in a way. But they told me during my interviews that my side hustle will be okay, the millennials next door. So day one, I get in. They tell me your side hustle's not okay. You have to take down the website. Wow indeed, right? So that day, I remember I'm texting a few people, see what they think. And, I took it down for the day. I ate some pizza that they had for me. And, that was like my last day there. First day in, last day out. I stole some tea bags, an old highlighter, because I said, okay, these people ain't gonna get me for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I just remember stealing some of my small tea bags. Okay, I guess I'll take this for now. So I ended up leaving that, and I would go into the whole financial coaching thing. And ever since, it's just been a joy just helping people maintain their wealth, but still mainly helping people build up their wealth instead. So, that's just been my pride and joy so far.
Wow. Hell of a story. And you said a few things in that story that I definitely want to touch on. One, the word wealth. I want to touch on exactly what does that mean when you talk about wealth versus just having a lot of money. And then two, you talked about you worked with people who were bringing in six figures, consistently, on a yearly basis, multiple six-figure checks. But at the same time, they still were, quote, unquote, broke. How does that happen? We see a lot of people out here who could be in a similar situation. They'll bring in six-figure checks. They'll drive the nicest car, have the nicest house, which is all fine and dandy, if you can afford it, I'm sure.
Right.
And if you're bringing in six-figure checks, that could give the illusion or make you think that you really can afford it. But some people can't. So how can, someone bringing in six-figure checks, or it doesn't even have to be six figures, they're bringing in a certain amount of salary. How can they essentially be broke, living outside of their means?
Yeah, so that's a very, very good question. To me, it's always mind-boggling because when I talk to like prospects, they'll be like, "Oh, I make about $150K." My first thought is, okay, so that means you're probably overspending if you're calling me right now. Because what happens is, we all play this game for a majority of Americans, where we get to the end of the month and we say, "Where the hell did all my money go?" So most of the times, what I've seen is people eat out too much. They kind of go with the whole lifestyle inflation. So there's this one story of, and I can never remember the name of the story. So if you know, man, let me know. But it's about this guy in olden times. His friends gave him this nice robe, and he gets the robe, and he says, okay, well, my sandals don't match the robe, so he has to get new sandals. Then he says, my pants don't match the robe. He gets new pants to match the new nice robe. Then he goes into his house. He says, well, my house isn't matching the robe either, so I have to get a new house, get a new vase, get a new bed. Everything changes around one thing.
Wow.
So when people get their new paychecks, they see a bunch of money, they say, okay, well, my car doesn't match my paycheck. So they get a new car. They say, my clothes don't match my car now. The lifestyle doesn't match the car and the clothes. The house doesn't match this. So it's a lot of lifestyle inflation. That's what people really get caught up at. So, if you're coming out of college, you've been living that roommate lifestyle for a while, and you start making $50K, you say, okay, I'm too rich to be living by myself now. So you get your own place. Expenses keep on increasing, and it essentially makes that whole raise, the money you make, non-existent. Because it just goes to all your bills at that point.
Exactly. Yeah, so I definitely can't see what you mean by that. You bring in a certain amount of paycheck, let's say $100,000. You want to show that you got $100,000, so you want to drive a car that makes you look like you have that type of money. You want to have a house. You want to eat at certain restaurants, wear certain clothes, which I don't want to put out in the air that is something wrong with having nice things. Is something wrong with eating nice meals, but like you said, you have to be able to afford it, and don't live outside your means, basically.
Yeah. And, my whole thing with that, too, is, just clear that up. I'm not concerned with what my clients spend their money on.
Yeah.
If you have a budget to go to Magic City every week, I'm okay with that. Like, as long as you can afford it.
Yeah.
What happens is, people, they just go beyond it. And they get used to that lifestyle. And by the time they kind of get used to the lifestyle, then they're calling me. It's kind of hard to, to turn someone back. Like, hey, you need to return that Audi A6. Or you need to move out of the house and get a roommate. It's all for people to go back on the lifestyle.
So let's go back to that word, wealthy. All right, I can't remember. It's probably been a lot of rappers that said it. I know Jay-Z and Rick Ross has said it. They said, "Fuck being rich. I'm trying to be wealthy." I know a lot of people, when you get into that the high ranking business executives, lawyers, doctors who, say it's all about wealth. It's all about building wealth. It doesn't matter, how much money you have, but are you really building substantial wealth for yourself, for your family, for your kids, for your kids' kids? So let's talk about that word wealth and being wealthy. What can you share on that?
So for myself, I'm a very literal person. So what I did one day is I looked up the actual definition of wealth. Mm-hmm. It means a value of abundant resources. Mm. So from what that tells me is necessarily a cat lady could be wealthy if she has a bunch of cats and that's what she finds, valuable in her own terms. So the term wealth is very subjective.
Okay.
So for me, my wealth will be in my time. That's a valuable resource to me. I want to own more of it as much as possible as I can. Mm-hmm. So that's my term of wealth. For others, it might be a big house, and that's perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. So what I always try to help people do is find their own definition of wealth. Not going by what we see in the media, say, okay, you need to have 6 cars to be wealthy, or you need to have a bunch of money in the bank account just sitting, looking pretty for you. Mm-hmm. That's not necessarily wealth in my eyes. So it always depends on the person, just because it's going to be very subjective.
Got it. Got it. So let's move to a different topic. So your Instagram and your social media is Millennials Next Door?
Yep.
Millennials Next Door. So clearly you focus a lot of your attention on millennials, right?
Right.
So a big thing with millennials, 2 words, student loans. Student loans. America has taught us that the best investment is to go to high school, come out of high school, go to college, or it can be a 4-year college or a 2-year college, but go to some type of college, invest a lot of money into this college, and they'll give you in return the knowledge that you'll need to go out and get a job. Problem with that is a lot of us can't afford it. So we take out these student loans. Problem with that is once we get a job, we can't afford to pay those student loans back, especially with the interest rates piled on top. And then once the interest rates get piled on top, we're paying on the interest rate, not actually paying on the actual loan. So it kind of prolongs the process of us paying down those student loans. How in the world can we get out of this situation? What advice do you have for people with student loans? And it's not, $1,000, $2,000. That's a lot of money. $10,000, that's a lot of money. But it's people out here with 6-figure student loan debt. You have doctors. I have friends that are doctors who, 6-figure student loan debts. You have people going to law school, going to get their graduate degree, their postgraduate degree. What can you tell, or what do you tell millennials about student loans?
Every situation is going to differ depending on the person.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to professionals such as doctors, lawyers, financial professionals, if you guys are having trouble paying off your student loans, you just need to dial back your lifestyle. Okay. Because most likely they make enough. So, if you're making like $5,000 a month after taxes, you make more than enough.
So I know with doctors, eventually they get to that salary. Mm-hmm. But I think the first couple of years, they're not making the doctor money that we think they're making. So to their defense on that.
No, and that's fair. So, if you're not making that type of money, then, of course, my big pet peeve with the student loans is a lot of people, they don't talk to the student loans. So, I think that's my first tip, generally, is 1, talk to your company, talk to the people who you owe money to, because it's not going to go away. Don't listen to your Uncle Jim who's saying he's going to go to school forever, because it always catches up to you some way, somehow. Like, you got people saying, I'm going to go to school forever. Yeah, they'll never catch me. Now, they always catch you either way somehow. Yeah. In life or in death, they'll get you some way. Uh-huh. So, 1, talk to them. If you have to do some type of, income payment plan, do that. Just talk to them. I think that's a big step because a lot of people, they tend to be scared. Mm-hmm. They see the big number. It seems very unrealistic. Yeah. So, I get that. Got it. And, for those people who are trying to pay down the loans, think of it like eating an elephant. You just eat it one bite at a time. Simple as that. And, I'll also touch on, the whole debt-free community. because there's like a big community of people who are trying to become debt free. Thanks to Dave Ramsey, he's kind of been really pushing and amping people up. So I'll say check out those things. Like if you go on Instagram, hashtag debt free community, you'll see dozens of people have paid off like 500,000, 300,000 in 2 to 3 years. It comes down to a matter of sacrifice and what you're willing to do. So I mean, if you can live with your parents, do that for 2 years, get caught up, put a real good dent in it, yeah, you'll be okay. But it kind of goes back to that lifestyle inflation. So when you get a college degree, you want to live on your own, of course, you want to enjoy life. So it's a little bit of a balancing act.
Yeah. It's almost like when we typically think of going to college, we think it's a 4-year deal and that's it. We sign up to go to Georgia Tech or to Morehouse or to Georgia State for 4 years. I'm going to go ahead and get my 4-year degree and then I'm finished. But when you think about it, it's almost, you got to think of it in terms of longer than that, because you're going to be paying on the school longer than that if you took out loans. So if it's going to take you 10 years to pay off student loan debt, plus the 4 years that you're going to school, it's almost like a 14-year investment versus a 4-year investment.
And if I can, I just want to touch on this whole master degree thing. The master degree is not necessarily the answer to all the problems either. So I always tell people, make sure when you get your master's, that's going to make some money. If you're looking at an extra $10,000, it might not be worth it in the end. Because I know that's kind of becoming the trend now where people say, oh, well, I'll just get my master's and then I get that 6-figure job. But, just do your research on it. Not saying that's a bad option, but sometimes it doesn't make any financial sense.
So what are some other options, or maybe school or 4-year university is what you recommend for a lot of young people to invest in after high school in terms of their self? But do you talk to them about entrepreneurship at all, or different ways to bring in income instead of going that 4-year university route where they will spend those thousands of dollars, which it does pan out for most people. In the end, you do get your return on investment. But are there other options that you present to people or suggest to people to do in order to bring in income other than going that 4-year university route?
Yeah, so for myself, usually when I talk to people, they're already in college. Okay. So if they aren't in college, then I kind of go about the whole side hustle thing and vocational and technical schools. So if you guys ever read the book, The Millionaire Next Door, okay. As you can see, that's where I got my name from. But yeah, so in that book, this guy, he's talking about your average millionaire, and most of the times, it can be in construction, it can be in plumbing, it can be in doing roofs, being contractors. Basically, if you are able to do a job that no one really wants to do and you're able to do it well, you can make some really good money, and you do not need any type of degrees or anything for that. And then also have a lot of side hustles now. So I know one guy, he does this one app called Toru, Toru, where you rent your vehicle to other people. Okay. So he had a nice car. He started renting that out, and he saw all the money he was bringing in. So then he started getting the other cars and renting those out, and now he's making money just off of that, and that's his main gig. Wow. Yeah. Wow. And you might know MJ. He's in the Urban Link too, but he paid off all his debt with doing those scooters, like the ones you charge, like Bud, Lime, and all that. Charged them up, paid off all his debt. It was like $30K that he did just doing that. Now, he was a beast. I'll give him that. That boy was charging 30 scooters a night. So I don't know how he did all that, because I can only do 10 per night. Yeah. But there's so many ways to make money. I mean, you can do it through Airbnb. You can just do it by getting a roommate. So for myself, I was telling you earlier that I just bought this townhome that we're in. So my idea is to get one roommate or start doing Airbnb in March to bring another source of income in. So that way I can start hopefully buying another property to do that, or just doing more, let's say, aggressive trading in the stock markets. So yeah, that's what I tell people. It's try and think of your natural skills, whether you do writing, you can become a freelancer. If you are handy, you can go on Etsy. And there's just so many ways to make money, basically.
Yeah. So you definitely recommend to people multiple streams of income, not just, we know everybody's busy. We know Most people have full-time jobs. If you don't have full-time, then you have multiple part-time jobs. But you recommend to people, even outside of your full-time salary, try to find some ways to get multiple streams of income.
Yeah, man, 100%. Yeah, that whole one stream of income is just not going to cut it out. It's really not. For most people, I mean, even if you are making a good amount of money from one, I'll say still think about something else. Like whether it's doing consultation work, anything that you can do on the side, I say do it. Because it's making more money. As long as you manage it well, I think you'll be A-okay.
Good. All right, so let's switch gears again and talk about credit. All right? Let's talk about credit because I'm going to be honest with you. Outside of my parents or people at church, growing up, I didn't hear the word credit, in high school or, of course, elementary or middle school. Of course, apps weren't around back then. Well, when I was in high school, apps came around. But when I was in elementary and middle school, apps weren't around back then, so you didn't have these credit apps. So I got most of my knowledge from my parents or people that I was with at church or my parents' friends. But that's just my situation. I can imagine, other people out there whose parents may not have talked to them about credit, and they didn't get the knowledge in school like you would get your everyday math skills or social studies skills, English skills. They didn't really talk about credit in school like that. So let me ask you two questions. Where did you get your knowledge about credit from? And then what do you share with the people that you work with, whether it's millennials or even retirees, about credit?
You brought up a really good point. Just because when I was thinking about it, as you were saying, where you got your credit knowledge from, I'm thinking to myself, like, man, where did I get mine from? I don't think my parents ever really talked about it. No, now it's become a little bit more sexier to talk about. But yeah, back then it was like a seriously taboo not to talk about anything about money at all. Yeah. I was still getting past it, but oh man, that's crazy. But for my own, I cannot think of any times where people are talking about credit.
Which is understandable.
Yeah. Like, I got my first credit card when I was like 18 from Wells Fargo. I still got that same credit card now. And I was just lucky because I'm a cheap person. I mean, I didn't know anything else about it. But if I found it was like a regular person, I might have got myself into some bad debt.
Yeah.
But, man, I think like the first 4 to 5 years with that credit card, I did not spend anything. I don't think I started spending until I became a grown adult and said, oh, that's what a credit card is. Yeah. Okay, now I got it. So, really nothing on that. I mean... yeah, nothing, man. That's so crazy.
Wow.
It was just not brought up at all.
Wow.
So, yeah, I consider myself lucky then. Because, like you said, you definitely got some people who haven't heard about it just like me. But, if you might like to spend more money, then, yeah, that can definitely be an issue I can see. And then as far as, why I share about credit, I usually go over the two main things. So, your credit score is broken down into 5 factors. So for me, I like to focus on the 2 main ones. So one is your payment history. So I tell people mainly make your payments on time. And also a lot of people don't know is if you make a late payment, you can talk to your bank for forgiveness. Like your bank will usually forgive 1 late payment, 2 if you're lucky. But yeah, I don't know. It happened to me maybe last year. I had to call and say, oh yeah, I just messed up. My bad. Can you forgive the payment, the late payment? They say, yeah. Done deal. So it doesn't hurt that score. And then the other one is very important. Your debt utilization. So just as an example, if your credit limit is $1,000 and you have a $500 amount on your credit card, then you had a 50% utilization. So usually people want to see you below 30% or 10% is more ideal, of course. So try and get your utilization down, which pretty much comes to the point of paying down your credit card debt. And for those 2 sections, that's about 65% of what your credit score is made out of.
Okay.
So that's 65% that you have ultimate power over to change your whole credit score. And of course, stay active on your student loans because when it gets to that deferment, you'll see your credit score drop a good 200 to 300 points easy. So wow. Yeah, I've seen it happen before. I said, oh man, that's a big drop.
Yeah. Wow, so that's very, very interesting. And I think I recently saw you post something about people spending on their credit card for the points. I'm trying to pull up the actual Instagram post, but you said something where you. Okay, I'm gonna read it. You say, "Bruh, are we leaving this whole?" And then quotes, "I spend money for the credit card points, and that saves me money mentality behind in 2019." So let's talk about that. People who spend their credit card for points, which logically, if you think about it logically, it does work. If you think about it logically, I want to spend $100 at wherever at Target so that I can get points that I can use at either Target or groceries or wherever I can use it. So I'm actually spending to save money. But people, I'm assuming based on what you've been saying, really don't know how to handle the spending money for points. They'll spend money for points but forget this last part of it, which is to pay off the credit card. So let's talk about that. What are you saying regarding people who are spending money for points?
When it comes to the whole spending money for points, I relate it to like a casino. So the casino, the house is always winning. Like, you're going to see some people who are going to make it out big. Good for them. But for the majority of people, kind of like myself, we're losing in the casino, okay? Like, we're not making any money. So, it's like, I think if people really sit down and think about it, these credit card companies do not love us. They really don't. It's about money at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. So basically, they, at one point, hired a bunch of people, paid them a lot of money to do the research, and they came up with this suggestion, like, if people spend more or think they're spending more to save more, then we'll win at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's just only logical to assume that majority of people are spending way more, and the credit card companies, they make money off of the interest that these people are spending. Mm. So like I said, I relate to just like a casino where you can see some people winning. Mm-hmm. You have a few experts. Like I said, kudos to them. If you can scam them, do it. Mm-hmm. But if you can't, like, you're not making those end of the month payments and you're getting caught up in the game just to travel to, I don't know, Aruba, then it just becomes like, it's like, why are you even doing this at the end of the day? Yeah. Because, a lot of people I see too, is they use that as a mechanism to convince themselves that going on vacation is a good move. Mm. So notice a lot of credit card companies, they do the whole air flights, miles. They do, okay, you can stay in over here or go to this place. Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's like, one, should you even be on a cruise or go on vacation? Mm-hmm. Number one. And then number two, should you even be doing a credit card for that? And at that point, if you don't have the cash in your savings account or in your checking account, you don't need to be doing either one. So I think that's the big trap that people kind of catch themselves into.
Wow. That's crazy. All right, so let's say I'm a high school student. All right. And I know nothing about financial literacy. All I know is somebody goes to work and then somebody gives them a check. I don't know what to do with that after that. Should I spend most of it on food, groceries? Should I spend most of it on shopping or bills? If you could break it down into a few sentences or a few easy steps about financial planning or financial literacy, what do you tell your students?
The whole concept I try to really dig into my clients is the margin. So the margin is when you have your income minus expenses. That equals your margin. Okay. The margin represents your opportunity. So just as an example, if you bring in $2,000 a month, you spend $1,500 on expenses, you have $500 for the margin. Mm-hmm. Now with that $500, you have the opportunity to start saving that money, opportunity to invest the money, opportunity to go on vacation, go to the club, pretty much what you actually want to accomplish in life. Mm-hmm. So that's the first thing I tell people. Focus on your monthly margin, so it's not to seem like too big of a task. Mm-hmm. And there's two main ways to increase your margin. One, increase your income. Two, decrease your expenses. Or three, do both. That's the bonus answer. Like, if you can do both, you're really winning. So when they kind of get that concept, then we kind of go into the weeds a little bit more about the spending habits. So I know one good resource is Mint, MINT.com.
I use Mint.
Yeah, no, so they're decent. They'll show you how you are spending your money and where all your money is going to. And I know for my clients, usually when we do that, it's like all of it's going to dining out. Dining out and entertainment, those are like the usual culprits. So then it becomes to the chance of, okay, we have to start dialing back and start planning ahead and being proactive with the money. And last but not least, I always try and get them into the mindset of being financially conscious.
Okay.
So there's a term for about it. It's not coming to my head right now. But it's like if I tell you to start looking for red cars, you're going to see a lot more red cars when you drive outside here.
Yeah.
So, when you become more financially conscious, whether you're following me on Instagram, following anyone else on Instagram, or reading a financial book, you become more conscious about how you spend money. So, you're not going to notice it like in the first few things. Like, it might just be something small like, okay, instead of getting the brand name, I'm going to get the great value. It's like the small wins. And then those small wins become into bigger wins. So, when you're shopping for a car, instead of getting the new 2020 car, let me dial back and get a 2018. And then it goes into something big like such as a house or investing early. So it's like getting into that mindset is going to help you live much easier down the road.
Nice. So are you finding people being more receptive to the information that you're giving them? Like people are wanting to learn more about financial literacy?
If I had to say just one word, I'd probably say no.
Really?
Yeah, no. At least not to the point where I want to see it. So I know on Instagram I'm like at 20 or something thousand followers. I also have a lot of followers, but not a lot of listeners. So, it's just like, it's crazy because there's so much information out there. And easy, 99% of my stuff can be Googled easily. But it's like, I don't see a lot of people taking that initiative to actually do it. From what I see is people will usually seek out financial coaching or they seek out some financial help when they're in trouble. They don't want that type of help before they get into the trouble. So usually it has to be something dramatic happens or they get that aha moment.
So is it more people don't know, or is it more people they know, they just don't want to make those necessary changes to their lifestyle?
People don't want to make the necessary changes to lifestyle. Yeah, if I had to be blunt.
Yeah.
A lot of people say they want financial freedom, but it's like talking about it more. It's like the lottery. I talk about the lottery. I talk about winning the lottery. I never bought a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just like to talk. Yeah, like I would imagine if people did want to do it, I would hopefully imagine people would hit me up in my DMs a lot more. Because I'm not charged for like any like simple questions. But it's like, it's not that many that I get actually. I'll do a free financial freedom summit. I don't get that many participants.
Yeah,
Like
wow.
for 20,000, I might get 200. So yeah, some people just aren't ready for it yet.
Wow.
You gotta go in at your own time.
Yeah, that's crazy, but I just think people don't want to give up that lifestyle too.
Yeah,
that's
fair.
People don't want to, like, they know the information. They know if I stop going to Chick-fil-A or if I stop going to Chipotle, 2 or 3 times a week, I can save $30 for this week. And then if I save $30 every single week throughout the year, I can throw that in a bank, or not necessarily a bank, in an investment account. I can invest in, some stocks or invest in other things with that money that I'm saving. But people really don't want to give up that lifestyle. That lifestyle is too convenient, right? People are too comfortable in their lifestyle. I'm guilty of it too in certain areas. I think we're all guilty of it in certain areas. It might not necessarily be with finances. It can be with health. You need to change the way that you eat. You need to eat certain things, but you're comfortable going to the drive-through or going to pick up quick fast food. You don't want to make those necessary changes of going to the grocery store and cooking your own food. So I don't know, maybe it's the human part in us where we like to be comfortable. We don't want to change our lifestyle, even though we know the outcome down the road could potentially be better. We want quick change. If we stop doing something right now that we've been doing for years, we want a quick change to happen. And that's not necessarily the case with finances. You have to build that change and build that wealth with finances.
Yeah, man, that's 100%. Like you kind of called me out too, the whole physical thing. So like part of my goals now is I used to only focus on financial goals. So now I do mentally and I also do physically.
Good.
So this year I'm trying to go to the therapist. I need to go to the dentist. I need to go to the doctor. Being usual guy stuff's like, man, I ain't going to no doctor. I'm fine. I don't need that. So yeah, that's like one of my main goals. But yeah, you're right. Like I think it is a little bit of a fear of living your current lifestyle. One of the things I pride myself on is when I do get a coaching client and say, hey, I'm going to call you out on your own shit. Like you tell me you're doing this, but then you spend this and it's like, okay, you sure you really want to do that? It's like, it's nice to get paid for it too, Yeah.
Let me ask you about people who previously lived a certain lifestyle, because within their means, they made, I'm just throw $50,000 out, and they lived within that $50,000 means. And then they had a drastic life change that happened. Maybe they lost a job. Maybe their salary was cut. Maybe their position was cut at work and they had to take a lower salary. What do you tell those people about changing their lifestyle? So they were doing the right things at first. Something drastically happened, but they want to continue to live in the lifestyle that they previously were living at with their previous salary. What suggestions or recommendations do you give people in terms of scaling back now their lifestyle?
Like I mentioned earlier, I'm a very little person. So I think my first sentence would be, I'm sorry to hear that, but, shit happens.
Yeah.
So, it's time to like roll with the punches, basically. So usually if they are living by themselves, okay, well, who else can you live with or who can you bring in with you? That will usually cut down your mortgage, cut down all the other expenses. So that's like first priority. Second priority is, how are you looking for jobs? Are you even looking? You trying to take a break or live off of your savings? And if there are no savings, then it's like, okay, it's time for the side hustle. And my philosophy is, if you live in a big city like Los Angeles, Atlanta, Miami, New York City, and you have a car, you have no reason to be broke. There's always something you can do with a car. So you got Uber, you got Lyft, you got Uber Eats, you got DoorDash, you got those scooters all across town. There are ways to make money with a vehicle. So that's the next thing I'll tell us, okay, well, sign up for this, sign up for that. Let's get some type of income coming in as you are looking for a job. So like, those are the three main suggestions I always kind of give people if they're in that situation.
So like I said, folks, this guy has a wealth of information. There are some things that I might have to bring him back on the show to talk about, such as investment accounts and doing investment in stocks or real estate investment, different financial tips that he can give that we might not have touched on, but we talked about a lot today. So I definitely want you to give people your social media handles, any speaking engagements that you have coming up, different seminars that you host throughout the year. Just let people know where they can find you, the different resources that you present out to people or that you may be connected with.
Everyone can really find me on Instagram. That's like 95% of my business is being done, surprisingly. So feel more than free to slide in the DMs. I'm always answering. But my Instagram name is themillennialsnextdoor.com. I'm sorry, The Millennials Next Door. And as far as, like events I got coming up, 2020, I'm looking for this one to be a great year for events. So I'll be doing 2 investment summits. One's going to be done virtually in April. The next one will be done here in Atlanta in August. I'll be doing a real estate investing course in March. I also have my own real estate investment trust course online now. If you go to my Instagram page, you can go ahead and click the link in the bio and you'll be able to see the REITs and dividends course, and you're more free to take that. But yeah, like this whole year is about making more income. So yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot more events and speaking engagements here.
So you guys heard it here. Please go check him out on social media. Go check out the courses that he has coming up. I'm definitely going to talk to you about that real estate investment course you have coming up in March. Please, please, please reach out to him. He said he answers his DMs. Send him an email, his website, however you need to get in contact with him. Even if he's not the answer, I'm sure he's connected with many financial people in the city of Atlanta or even around the country. So reach out to him. You never know what you can learn from him. And just please use him as a resource, because this is very, very important. Financial literacy, very important in all of our lifestyles. No matter what age you are. You can be in high school, you can be in middle school, you can be college, fresh out of college. You can even be in your 50s, 60s, getting ready to retire. I'm sure you can learn something about finance. And if you can't learn anything else about finance, then you need to be out here teaching people about what you know, because you have a whole lot of knowledge inside of your head as well.
Yeah, true that.
So as we close out, remember, we always like to leave something with from Nipsey Hussle, because we love what Nipsey Hussle presented in his music. And he definitely talked about finance. If you never listened to Nipsey Hussle, he talked about finance, and he talked about elevating our lifestyle and elevating to another level. He told you that the marathon always continues. It does not stop by any means. And whatever you're doing, take it to the next level. This is a way for myself to take health to a next level by reaching out to people who have an expertise in different topics about how it can impact our health and how we can take our lifestyle to the next level. So whatever you're doing, elevate to the next level. And until next time, peace.